Here we are finally with part 4. My apologies that part 4 took so long to come. Your boy got a community strike on his channel, so I wasn't able to post for a whole 7 days. So I promised you guys 6 days straight of doing Outwitting the Devil for my my book club, you know, part of the Boogie family. We got a book club now, all right? So here we are, we're back, and we got another 30 minutes that we're about to do right now. So sit back, relax, put your headphones on, and let's listen.
Cruel? I call that definite and dependable. The World Depression broke up the habits of men everywhere and redistributed the sources of opportunity in all walks of life on an unprecedented scale. The drifter's pet alibi, with which he tries to explain away his undesirable position, is his cry that the world has run dry of opportunities. Non-drifters do not wait for opportunity to be placed in their way. They create opportunity to fit their desires and demands of life.
Are non-drifters smart enough to avoid the influence of hypnotic rhythm?
I want you guys to listen to that part one more time. I know it's a little soon for me to be pausing, but he just said something. He just said something that I think a lot of people fall victim of. Keyword victim. Listen to this.
Be placed in their way. Scale. The drifter's pet alibi, with which he tries to explain away his undesirable position, is his cry that the world has run dry of opportunities. Non-drifters do not wait for opportunity to be placed in their way. They create opportunity to fit their desires and demands of life.
Are non-drifters?
So think about that next time you give yourself a reason why you're not in a position you want to be in. Whether it's you blaming the white man, whether it's you blaming the system, whether it's your mom was on crack, whether it's both of your parents passed away. Understand that whatever that circumstance is, that is real and true to you. But now, what it is you want out of life, do you still want that thing? Will you still go get it? Or will you live in the excuse that you own, the reason that you own, and never obtain that future that you want for yourself? Because for a lot of people, they see the circumstance they were brought up in and they say, you know what? That's good enough for me to say, that's why I never reached the heights that I think I could have reached or I wanted to reach. That's good enough. My mom was on crack. That's a great reason why I'm going to do crack. That's a great reason why I'm not going to do better in life. That's a great reason why I'm just going to drift away and be the person in the shadows and never really speak too loud because...
He's correct, but he's a little...
My bad. Because of the circumstance I can't control. Think about that. You're drifting. That's a great reason to drift. Drift away from the purpose that you're supposed to live because of a circumstance you can't change. If you're black, you'll never be white. You know what I mean? So it's the white man. Okay, well, figure it out still. Because there's still brothers out here figuring it out still. Now, I mean, there's still brothers out here making it happen with the system still hitting them. But the difference between a brother that finds his way through the system and a brother that's like, well, the system is holding a brother down is just that. That brother, the first brother, finds a way still. Because we look at our kids and we say, I still want to give you what I didn't have. I'm going to find a way. I'm not going to blame it on something I can't change or control. But all right, let's get back into
Smart enough to avoid the influence of hypnotic rhythm?
No one is smart enough to dodge the influence of hypnotic rhythm. One could just as easily avoid the influence of the law.
Real quick, I want to give a special shout out to my subscriber. His Instagram is Fathrito. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to put it on the screen. But basically, I've been telling y'all how to make money playing games on your phone. And the brother sent me some screenshots. He made $104 in earnings the other day. It looks like he right now is currently at $191. Listen, I already told you about Mandy Slim Goody T. I believe that's her Instagram. I'm gonna put her information on the screen as well. The DMs that she sent me. I told y'all people are really making money playing games on their phone. All right, people are even leaving comments and saying, I thought this was a scam. It's not a scam, y'all. Try it out for yourself. Click the link in the description below or the link in the comment section. All right, these apps, they're literally paying people just to play games on your phone. It's extremely simple. Some of the options is even just reviewing a Netflix show, things of that nature. But just sign up, see what's available, constantly go back and just check it out. Because you could easily make an extra $100 just doing this, or $200, depending on how much money you want to make. But y'all, try it out for yourself. These are real life people getting real life results. And if you catch yourself making money, send me your screenshots on Instagram and I'll give you a shout out next. All right, let's get back to the video.
Is smart enough to dodge the influence of hypnotic rhythm. One could just as easily avoid the influence of the law of gravity. The law of hypnotic rhythm fixes permanently the dominating thoughts of men, whether they be drifters or non-drifters. There is no reason why a non-drifter would want to avoid the influence of hypnotic rhythm, because that law is favorable to him. It helps him convert his dominating aims, plans, and purposes into their physical replicas. It fixes his habits of thought and makes them permanent. Only the drifter would wish to dodge the influence of hypnotic rhythm.
For the better portion of my adult life, I've been a drifter. How did I manage to escape being swept into the whirlpool of hypnotic rhythm?
You haven't escaped. The major portion of your dominating thoughts and desires since you reached adulthood has been a well-defined, definite desire to understand all the potentialities of the mind. You may have drifted on thoughts of lesser importance, but you did not drift in connection with this desire. Because you did not drift, you are now recording a document which gives you exactly what your dominating thoughts demanded of life.
Why doesn't your opposition use hypnotic rhythm to make permanent one's higher thoughts and nobler deeds? Why does your opposition permit you to use this stupendous force as a means of entangling people in a web of evil, spun by their own thoughts and deeds? Why does your opposition not outwit you by binding people with thoughts which build and lift them above your influence?
The law of hypnotic rhythm is available to all who will use it. I make use of it more effectively than does my opposition, because I offer people more attractive bribes to think my sort of thoughts and indulge in my sort of deeds.
In other words, you control people by making negative thinking and destructive deeds pleasing to them. Is that correct?
That is the idea exactly.
I've often wondered why your opposition, what we earthbound call God, does not annihilate you. Can you tell me why?
Because the power is as much mine as his. It is as available to me as to him. That is what I have been trying to get over to you. The highest power in the universe can be used for constructive purposes, through what you call God, or it can be used for negative purposes, through what you call the devil. And something more important still, it can be used by any human being just as effectively as by God or the devil.
You make a far-reaching claim. Can you prove your claim?
Yes, but it would be better if you proved it for yourself. The devil's word is not worth much among your earthbound sinners. Neither is God's word. You fear the devil and refuse to trust your God. Therefore, you have but one source available through which you may appropriate the benefits of universal power, and that is by trusting and using your own power of thought. This is the direct road to the universal storehouse of infinite intelligence.
That makes me think about how much we focus on our fears and how much that's saying we believe in our fears. Right? Like we'll talk about what gives us anxiety, what makes us think about yesterday, things we wish we could have changed, and what we fear for the future. But very seldom do we talk about hope and believing we can do something. We always talk about why we don't think it's going to be right, living in our fears. I just want y'all to think about that real quick. How often do you live in your fears? Comment below. How often do you catch yourself living in something that is a fear?
There is no other road available to any human being.
Why have we earthbound not found the road to infinite intelligence sooner?
Because I have intercepted you and led you off the path by planting in your minds thoughts which destroy your power to use your minds constructively. I have made it attractive to you to use the power of infinite intelligence to attain negative ends through greed, avarice, lust, envy, and hatred. Remember, your mind attracts that which your mind dwells upon. To divert you away from my opposition, I had only to feed you on thoughts helpful to my cause.
If I understand what you are saying, you are admitting that no human being need fear the devil or worry about how to flatter God.
That is it precisely. This admission may put a crimp in my style, but I have the satisfaction of knowing it may also slow down my opposition by sending people direct to the source of all power.
In other words, if you cannot control people through negative bribes or fear, then you wish to kick over the entire apple cart and show people how to go around God. Are you by any chance in politics, too? Your technique seems frightfully familiar.
Am I in politics? If I am not in politics, who do you believe starts depressions and forces people into wars? Surely you would not lay this at the door of my opposition. As I have already told you, I have allies in all walks of life to help me in connection with all human relationships.
Why don't you take over the churches and use them outright in your cause?
Do you think I am a fool? Who would keep alive the fear of the devil if I subdued the churches? Who would serve as a decoy to attract the attention of people while I manipulate their minds if I did not have some agency through which to sow the seeds of fear and doubt? The cleverest thing I do is to use the allies of my opposition to keep the fear of hell burning in the minds of people. As long as people fear something, no matter what, I will keep a grip on them.
I'm beginning to see your scheme. You use the churches to plant the seed of fear and uncertainty and indefiniteness in the minds of people. These negative states of mind cause people to form the habit of drifting. This habit crystallizes into permanency through the law of hypnotic rhythm. Then the victim is helpless to help himself. Is that right? Hypnotic rhythm, then, is something to be watched and respected.
A better way of stating the truth is that hypnotic rhythm is something to be studied, understood, and voluntarily applied.
You know what that makes me think of? When they say the victim feels too helpless to help himself. What I'm about to say is going to be a little controversial. Some are going to understand what I'm saying, some are not. Some people are going to look at me and be like, what? Like, Boogie, you crazy, you tripping on that one. But hear me out. When I hear the victim feels like he can't help himself, it makes me think about those people that will just sit around and be like, God will fix it. I'm not going to do anything. You watch their life and you're like, you're not doing anything to help your situation. And when you ask them, well, why don't you? They say, well, God got it. God will fix it. I'm a strong believer that God will open up a door that you have to walk into. There's an old story. I'm going to butcher this story a little bit. Y'all know how I do. But the story goes something like this. A man is in the middle of the ocean and he's paddling because he's trying to stay afloat so he doesn't drown in the ocean. A boat comes by and says, hey, man, get on the boat. I got you. You good. He says, no, don't worry. God got me. The guy drives off. The guy's still paddling. He's starting to get tired. Another boat comes and says, hey, man, jump in the boat. I got you. He says, yo, just keep going. God got me. He's almost under the water. Another boat pulls up and says, yo, might want to get in the boat because you're about to drown. He says, listen, I'm good. God has me. The water is at his chin. The boat drives off. Eventually, he drowns. Then he asks God, I guess when he made it to heaven, why didn't you save me? God looks at him and says, I sent you 3 boats. I sent you 3 boats and you got on none of them. A lot of people's lives looks just like that. They sit here and say that God will fix it, but they think that there's no action on their part. There's nothing they have to do. God got it. What if God is opening up doors that you're too scared, you're still living in your fear, too scared to walk into, to live out the purpose that God is giving you? I think about that all the time when I hear people say, God got it. God will figure it out. God will handle it. You might want to pay that bill. You might want to figure out how to budget for that. Because then sure enough, the bill time come around and they like, yo, you mind if I borrow $100? What you mean? I thought God was was going to hit you with the direct deposit. So God taking care of your situation is me giving you the money? I'm joking, but y'all know exactly what I'm saying. Y'all have heard people like this. Y'all have to get up and walk through the door.
To attain definite desired ends.
If the force of hypnotic rhythm is not voluntarily applied to attain definite ends, may it be a great danger?
Yes, and for the reason that it operates automatically. If it is not consciously applied to attain a desired end, it can, and it will, operate to attain undesired ends. Take the simple illustration of climate, for example. Anyone can see and understand that nature forces every living thing and every element of matter to adjust itself to her climates. In the tropics, she creates trees which bear fruit and reproduce themselves. She forces the trees to adjust themselves to her scorching sun. She forces them to put out leaves suitable for protection against the rays of the sun. These same trees could not survive if removed to the Arctic regions, where nature has established an entirely different climate. In the colder climate, she creates trees which are adjusted to survive and to reproduce themselves, but they could not survive if transplanted in the tropical regions. In the same manner, nature clothes her animals, giving to those in each different climate a covering suited to their comfort and survival in that climate. In a similar manner, nature forces upon the minds of men the influences of their environment, which are stronger than the individual's own thoughts. Children are forced to take on the nature of all influences of those around them, unless their own thoughts are stronger than the influences. Nature sets up a definite rhythm for every environment, and everything within the range of that rhythm is forced to conform to it. Man alone has the power to establish his own rhythm of thought, providing he exercises this privilege before hypnotic rhythm has forced upon him the influences of his environment. Every home, every place of business, every town and village, and every street and community center has its own definite, discernible rhythm. If you wish to know what a difference there is in the rhythms of streets, take a walk up Fifth Avenue in New York, and then down a street in the slums. All forms of rhythm become permanent with time.
Does each individual...
I just want to say something real quick, all right? I see a lot of people in the comments commenting things like, oh my God, I do not believe this. Do you guys really believe the devil was talking to this author? He's talking about the Rockefellers was good people. Like, listen, y'all, listen. This is a book, okay? This is a book that is, I believe, is using biblical references along with metaphors and similes to tell the story of how the devil would have a conversation on how he will impact our lives. I don't believe that this book is a transcript from an actual interview. Now, I know that was what this was, written as, but that's why in part 1, I brought up the biblical references of how the devil does use the drifter, how the devil does use us in these ways, use our fears against us. But some people is reading so deep into this that y'all are like, how the devil know about New York City? Why the devil ain't talking about other countries? Listen, y'all, you're reading too deep into it. All right, like come a little bit on the surface. I don't like to talk surface level, but some of y'all are trying to like nitpick so much. If you want to nitpick, you go to the Bible. Know what I mean? Go to the Bible. And then I want to say something towards the people that's like, well, why are people reading this book instead of reading their Bible? Who says you can't read your Bible and read a book? I just want to know. All right, but let's keep going.
Have his own rhythm of thought.
Yes, that is precisely the major difference between individuals. The person who thinks in terms of power, success, opulence, sets up a rhythm which attracts these desirable possessions. The person who thinks in terms of misery, failure, defeat, discouragement, and poverty attracts these undesirable influences. This explains why both success and failure are the result of habit. Habit establishes one's rhythm of thought, and that rhythm attracts the object of one's dominating thoughts.
Hypnotic rhythm is something resembling a magnet which attracts things for which it has a magnetic affinity. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is why the poverty-stricken herd themselves into the same communities. It explains that old saying, misery loves company. It also explains why people who begin to succeed in any undertaking find that success multiplies with less effort as time goes on. All successful people use hypnotic rhythm, either consciously or unconsciously, by expecting and demanding success. The demand becomes a habit, hypnotic rhythm takes over the habit, and the law of harmonious attraction translates it into its physical equivalent.
In other words, if I know what I want from life, demand it, and back my demand by a willingness to pay life's price for what I want, and refuse to accept any substitutes, the law of hypnotic rhythm takes over my desire and helps, by natural and logical means, to transmute it into its physical counterpart. Is that true?
That describes the way the law works.
Science has established irrefutable evidence that people are what they are because of heredity and environment. They bring over with them at birth a combination of all the physical qualities of all their numberless ancestors. After they arrive here, they reach the age of self-consciousness, and from there on, they shape their own personalities and more or less fix their own earthly destinations as the result of the environmental influences to which they are subjected, especially the influences which control them during early childhood. These two facts have been so well established, there's no room for any intelligent person to question them. How can hypnotic rhythm change the nature of a physical body, which is a combination of thousands of ancestors who have lived and died before one is born? How can hypnotic rhythm change the influence of one's environment? People who are born in poverty and ignorance have a strong tendency to remain poverty-stricken and ignorant all through life. What, if anything, can hypnotic rhythm do about this?
Hypnotic rhythm cannot change the nature of the physical body one inherits at birth. But it can, and it does, modify change, control, and make permanent one's environmental influences.
If I understand what you mean, a human being is forced by nature to take on and become a part of the environment he chooses, or the environment that may be forced upon him?
That is correct. But there are ways and means by which an individual may resist the influences of an environment he does not wish to.
When I hear this part, all I do is think about my people. When I say my people, I think about black people. Because our environment for a lot of us wasn't the best. But do you become a product of your environment? Is there like no other way? Is this the end? From the moment you were born, you were destined to fail because of the system, because of fill in the blank. Do you just accept defeat? Or do you say, these are the cards I was dealt, I'm going to have to play with them?
Accept, and also a method of procedure by which one may reverse the application of hypnotic rhythm from negative to positive ends.
Do you mean that there is a definite method by which hypnotic rhythm can be made to serve instead of destroy one?
I mean just that.
Tell me how this astounding end may be attained.
For my description to be of any practical value, it will be necessarily lengthy, because it will have to cover 7 principles of psychology, which must be understood and applied by all who use hypnotic rhythm to aid them in forcing life to yield that which they want.
Then break your description into 7 parts, each giving a detailed analysis of one of the 7 principles, with simple instructions for its practical application. Your Majesty will now proceed to unfold the secrets of the 7 principles through which human beings may force life to provide them with spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. Do not be sparing in your description of these principles. I want a complete illustration of how the principles may be used by anyone who chooses to use them. Tell us all you know about the principle of definiteness of purpose.
If you go through with this mad idea of publishing my confession, you will open the gates of hell and turn loose all the precious souls I have collected back down through the ages. You will deprive me of souls yet unborn. You will release from my bondage millions now living. Stop, I beg of you.
Open up. Let's hear what you have to say about the principle of definiteness of purpose.
You are pouring water on the fires of hell, but the responsibility is yours, not mine. I may as well tell you that any human being who can be definite in his aims and plans can make life hand over whatever is wanted.
That is a broad claim, Your Majesty. Do you wish to tone it down a bit?
Tone it down? No, I wish to tone it up. When you hear what I now have to say, you will understand why the principle of definiteness is so important. My opposition uses a clever little trick to cheat me of my control over people. The opposition knows that definiteness of purpose closes the door of one's mind so tightly against me that I cannot break through unless I can induce one to form the habit of drifting.
Why doesn't your opposition give your secret to all people by telling them to avoid you through definiteness of purpose? You have already admitted that 2 out of every 100 people belong to your opposition.
Because I am more clever than my opposition. I draw people away from definiteness with my promises. You see, I control more people than my opposition because I am a better salesman and a better showman. I attract people by feeding them liberally of the thought habits in which they like to indulge.
Is definiteness of purpose something with which one must be born, or may it be acquired?
Everyone, as I have told you before, is born with the privilege of being definite, but 98 out of every 100 people lose this privilege by sleeping on it. The privilege of definiteness can be maintained only by adopting it as a policy by which one is guided in all the affairs of life.
Oh, I see. One takes advantage of the principle of definiteness, just as one may build a strong physical body, through constant, systematic use. Is that it?
You have stated the truth clearly and accurately.
Now I think we are getting somewhere, Your Majesty. We have at long last found the starting point from which all who become self-determining in life must take off. We have discovered from your astounding confession that your greatest asset is man's lack of caution, which enables you to lead him into the jungle of indefiniteness through simple bribes. We have learned, beyond the question of doubt, that anyone who adopts definiteness of purpose as a policy and uses it in all of his daily experiences cannot be induced to form the habit of drifting. Without the aid of the drifting habit, you are powerless to attract people through promises. Is this correct?
I couldn't have stated the truth more clearly myself.
Go ahead now and describe how people neglect their privilege of being free and self-determining through indefiniteness and drifting.
I have already made brief reference to this principle, but I will now go into more minute details as to how the principle works. I shall have to begin at the time of birth. When a child is born, it brings with it nothing but a physical body representing the evolutionary results of millions of years of ancestry. Its mind is a total blank. When the child reaches the age of consciousness and begins to recognize the objects of its surroundings, it begins also to imitate others. Imitation becomes a fixed habit. Naturally, the child imitates, first of all, its parents. Then it begins to imitate its other relatives and daily associates, including its religious instructors and school teachers. The imitation extends not merely to physical expression, but also to thought expression. If a child's parents fear me and express that fear within range of the child's hearing, the child picks up the fear through the habit of imitation and stores it away as part of its subconscious stock of beliefs.
And that is why you have to be so careful instilling your fears onto your kids. I know this because as a Haitian American, my parents were scared of everything. Like, not both of them. I mean, my mom's side, they were scared of everything. I mean, everything. So, like, I would catch myself just nervous to do regular stuff sometimes. Like, and all the while I had to realize, okay, my mom was taught this fear, and I mean, it's a strong fear that her mom passed down to her. She now passes it down to me. She passes it down to her siblings. I mean, to my siblings, my sisters. And when I go over there, now that I've untrained my mind for a lot of these things, when I go over there, I'm like, why are y'all so scared? I'm talking about, yo, they scared to get on a city bus. We are from New York. Y'all live in New York. How y'all scared to get on a city bus? But the fears of the possibilities that are out there, you know, there has to be a healthy balance of be aware, but don't be scared of life. Too many of us are passing down things to our kids that we should have fixed. Passing down things to our kids that our parents should have fixed and should not have passed it down to us. But instead of us ever introspecting or overstanding, we just take it, whatever we receive from our parents as word, and then we pass that word down to our kids. And then and that's the generational curse that continues to get passed down. That fear. Where's fear from? The devil.
If the child's religious instructor expresses any form of fear of me, and they all do in one form or another, that fear is added to the similar fear passed to the child by its parents, and the two forms of negative limitation are stored away in the subconscious mind to be drawn upon and used by me later in life. In a similar way, the child learns by imitation to limit its power of thought by filling its mind with envy, hatred, greed, lust, revenge, and all the other negative impulses of thought which destroy all possibility of definiteness. Meanwhile, I move in and induce the child to drift until I bind its mind through hypnotic rhythm.
Am I to understand from your remarks that you have to gain control of people while they are very young, or lose your opportunity at them altogether?
I prefer to claim them before they come into possession of their own minds. Once any person learns the power of his own thoughts, he becomes positive and difficult to subdue. As a matter of fact, I cannot control any human being who discovers and uses the principle of definiteness.
Is the habit of definiteness a permanent protection against your control?
No, not by any means. Definiteness closes the door of one's mind to me only as long as that person follows the principle as a matter of policy. Once any person hesitates, procrastinates, or becomes indefinite about anything, he is just one step removed from my control.
Wow.
What has definiteness to do with one's material circumstances? I want to know if one may acquire power through definiteness of purpose without inviting destruction through the law of compensation.
Your question limits my illustrations because there are so few people in the world who understand, and there have been so few in the past who understood, how to use definiteness of purpose without attracting to themselves the negative application of the law of compensation. Here you are forcing me to disclose one of my most prized tricks. I am bound to tell you that I eventually reclaim for my cause all who escape me temporarily through definiteness of purpose. The reclamation is made by filling the mind with greed for power and the love of egotistical expression, until the individual falls into the habit of violating the rights of others. Then I step in with the law of compensation and reclaim my victim.
So I see from your admission that definiteness of purpose may be dangerous in proportion to its possibility as a power. Is that true?
Yes, and what is more important, every principle of good carries with it the seed of an equivalent danger.
That is hard to believe. What danger, for example, can there be in the habit of love of truth?
The danger lies in the word habit. All habits, save only that of the love of definiteness of purpose, may lead to the habit of drifting. Love for truth, unless it assumes the proportion of definite pursuit of truth, may become similar to all other good intentions. You know, of course, what I do with good intentions.
Is love for one's relatives also dangerous?
The love for anything or anyone, save only the love of definiteness of purpose, may become dangerous. Love is a state of mind which beclouds reason, saps willpower, and blinds one to facts and truth. Everyone who becomes self-determining and gains spiritual freedom to think his own thoughts must examine carefully every emotion that seems even remotely related to love. You may be surprised to know that love is one of my most effective baits. With it I lead into the habit of drifting those whom I could attract with nothing else. That is why I have placed it at the head of my list of bribes. Show me what any person loves most, and I will have my cue as to how that person can be induced to drift until I bind him with hypnotic rhythm. Love and fear combined give me the most effective weapons with which I induce people to drift.
Wait. Y'all, this is a lot. I want y'all to think about something with me. Just jog your own life as I jog mine, right? There have been times in my life that I've received something that was so good, but there was also a little bit of bad there. And and when I say bad, I mean there's some sin in this. Like they're so good, but there's a way to sin in this, if that makes sense. There's a way, like a door opened. Something became possible that maybe I didn't have before, but now I have availability to this. perfect example that I think everybody could relate to. Money. A lot of people, they want money. You want to receive a lot of money. But then you like your love for money, you know? you love the hustle, you love the grind, and it starts to pay you back because of the work you're doing now. Here's where the devil could use your love. What will you do with the money? Because now there's a lot of things that's available for you. New vices will creep up on you. You'll catch yourself spending time and money places you never really thought about doing or going. I don't know about y'all, but that has happened to me. That has happened to me. That has happened to me. I'll be the first one to say it. To where the thing that I loved cracked the door for the possibility of a sin that set me back. And being coherent of this now at my 29-year-old age is saving me. Whereas in the past, I would not plan for the thing that I love to ever play against me or crack a door or even blame the thing that I love. I would not have even looked in that direction, but now I'm very coherent of, okay, this is the thing. These are the results that you wanted. And these are the doors that are trying to be cracked. These are the doors that are trying to be cracked from the thing that you wanted. Don't walk in those doors. That was a lot. That was a lot, and it's very real.
One is as helpful to me as the other. Both have the effect of causing people to neglect to develop definiteness in the use of their own minds. Give me control over a person's fears and tell me what he loves most, and you may as well mark that person down as my slave. Both love and fear are emotional forces of such stupendous potency that either may completely set aside the power of will and the power of reason. Without will and reason, there is nothing left to support definiteness of purpose.
But, Your Majesty, life would not be worth living if people never felt the emotion of love.
Ah, you are right as far as your reasoning goes, but you neglected to add that love should be under one's definite control at all times. Of course, love is a desirable state of mind, but it also is a palliative which may be used to limit or destroy reason and willpower, both of which rate above love in importance to human beings who want freedom and self-determination.
I understand from what you say that people who gain power must harden their emotions, master fear, and subdue love. Is that correct?
People who gain and maintain power must become definite in all their thoughts and all their deeds. If that is what you call hard, then they must become hard.
Let us look into the sources of advantage of definiteness in the everyday affairs of life. Which is more apt to succeed, a weak plan applied with definiteness, or a sound, strong plan indefinitely applied?
Weak plans have a way of becoming strong if definitely applied.
You mean that any plan definitely put into continuous action in pursuit of a definite purpose may be successful, even if it is not the best plan?
Yes, I mean just that. Definiteness of purpose plus definiteness of plan by which the purpose is to be achieved generally succeeds, no matter how weak the plan may be. The major difference between a sound and an unsound plan is that the sound plan, if definitely applied, may be carried out more quickly than an unsound plan.
In other words, if one cannot be always right, one can and should be always definite. Is that what you were trying to get across to me?
That is the idea. People who are definite in both their plans and their purposes never accept temporary defeat as being more than an urge to greater effort. You can see for yourself that this sort of policy is bound to win if it is followed with definiteness.
Can a person who moves with definiteness of both plan and purpose be always sure of success?
No. The best of plans sometimes misfire. But the person who moves with definiteness recognizes the difference between temporary defeat and failure. When plans...
I hope y'all got that. I hope y'all got that. This makes me think about the analogy I always use in my videos of the 99% and the 1%. There's a time in YouTube, I'll use myself as an example. There's a time in YouTube where I was growing or I was trying to grow and it wasn't happening. Or I built my whole old channel and I literally got blacklisted to the point my videos weren't even moving in the algorithm anymore. There's a time where I constantly have to remind myself, this situation sucks. You've been working so hard, and then boom, this happens. You get a community strike. What just happened to me? Something happens to where it feels like a setback. And then you're like, I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm gonna do something else. I'll come back to this. Procrastination. It's not definite anymore. Are y'all seeing how this is coming around? That procrastination creeps up. Oh, I don't have. This is one of the most popular things that I hear when people say, yo, bro, I want to do YouTube, but, you know, I just don't have the right lighting, the right camera. You know, I don't have a PC. And all. Listen, there's pages, literally, that record themselves talking in their car. Record themselves talking in the park. Yeah, bro, but I ain't got a mic. Your phone has audio. Every excuse they can come up with, as if they have to be a finished product out the gate. But to the person that has not the best plan, but they're definite on where they're trying to go, they're going to say, yo, I'm just going to start this and understand that eventually it'll make more sense. Eventually, I'll be better at it. Eventually, my views will pick up and be 100,000 per video. I don't really know how this book club thing will do, but I know it's something I'm in, so I'm going to do it. I know it's something I'm into, so I know I'm going to do it. That is the difference. So when you catch yourself in these conversations with people that have every excuse under the sun, why they're not doing the thing yet, I want you guys to realize that. And then ask yourself, am I doing that as well? Am I doing that as well? And where? Because just allowing yourself to start, fall, stand up, keep going, then fall, stand up. This is literally how we all learned how to walk. But there's something about the thing that we want to do in life. We feel like we should just start walking. You're a baby. Babies don't get up and just start walking and get in the car and start driving. You wasn't even good the first time you drove. You learned. You failed. You merged into a lane by accident. And then you straightened up. But when it comes to what we want to do in life, we have every excuse under the umbrella on why we're not doing it yet. As if time is promised.
Plans fail, he substitutes others, but he does not change his purpose. He perseveres. Eventually, he finds a plan that succeeds.
Will a plan based upon immoral or unjust ends succeed as quickly as one motivated by a keen sense of justice and morality?
Through the operation of the law of compensation, everyone reaps that which he sows. Plans based on unjust or immoral motives may bring temporary success, but enduring success must take into consideration the fourth dimension, time. Time is the enemy of immorality and injustice. It is the friend of justice and morality. Failure to recognize this fact has been responsible for the crime wave among the youths of the world. The youthful, inexperienced mind is apt to mistake temporary success for permanency. The youth often makes the mistake of coveting the temporary gains of immoral, unjust plans, but neglects to look ahead and observe the penalties which follow as definitely as night follows day.
This is pretty deep stuff, Your Majesty. Let us get back to the discussion of lighter and more concrete subjects that are likely to interest the majority of people. I'm interested in discussing the things that make people happy and miserable, rich and poor, sick and healthy. In brief, I'm interested in everything that can be used by human beings to make life pay satisfactory dividends in return for the effort that one puts into the business of living.
Very well. Let us be definite.
You have my idea. Your Majesty has a tendency to stray off into abstract details, which most people can neither understand nor use in the solution of their problems. Could that, by any chance, be a definite plan of yours to answer my questions with indefinite answers? If that is your plan, it is a slick trick, but it will not work. Go ahead now, and tell me something more of the miseries and failures of human beings growing directly out of indefiniteness.
Why not permit me to tell you more of the pleasures and successes of people who understand and apply the principle of definiteness?
I observe that sometimes people with definiteness of plan and purpose get what they ask from life, only to find after they get it that they do not want it. What then?
Generally, one can get rid of whatever is not wanted by application of the same principle of definiteness with which the thing was acquired. A life that is lived with fullness of peace of mind, contentment, and happiness always divests itself of everything it does not want. Anyone who submits to annoyance by things he does not want is not definite. He is a drifter.
What about married people who cease to want each other? Should they separate? Or is it true that all marriages are made in heaven, and the contracting parties are, therefore, forever bound by their bargain, even though it may prove to be a poor one for both?
First, let me correct that old saying that all marriages are made in heaven. I know of some which were made on my side of the fence. Minds which do not harmonize should never be forced to remain together in marriage or any other relationship. Friction and all forms of discord between minds lead inevitably to the habit of drifting, and of course to indefiniteness.
Aren't people sometimes bound to others by a relationship of duty, which renders it impractical for them to take from life what they want most?
Duty is one of the most abused and misunderstood words in existence. The first duty of every human being is to himself. Every person owes himself the duty of finding how to live a full and happy life. Beyond this, if one has time and energy, not needed in the fulfillment of his own desires, one may assume responsibility for helping others.
Like, do y'all know a lot of people say that, oh my God, divorce is just, it's against the Bible. You cannot separate. I want to read y'all scripture. Because people think that, oh, if you get cheated on, then you still have to stay with that person. And I say, no. You know what I mean? No, the hell you don't. That's what I say, right? And that is also what this scripture says. Let me read it to you. Matthew, chapter 19, verse 9. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery. Did y'all hear what I said? And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for those that had to deal with cheating, except for those brothers, everybody else, you're committing adultery. But if you cheat, if you get cheated on, I understand. This is from Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. Corinthians 1, chapter 7, verse 15. But if the unbelieving partner separates, let it be so. In such cases, the brother or sister is not bound. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. If he finds some indecency in her, he writes her a certificate of divorce. Yeah, I didn't even know those other two scriptures, but I got to look deeper into those. But what I'm saying is, if you are in a situation that is horrible, ruining your life, this might not be from God. This might be your doing.
Isn't that a selfish attitude? And isn't selfishness one of the causes of failure to find happiness?
I stand by my statement that there is no higher duty than that which one owes himself.
Doesn't a child owe something in the way of duty to its parents, who gave it life and sustenance during its periods of helplessness?
Not at all. It is just the other way round. Parents owe their children everything they can give them in the way of knowledge. Beyond that, parents often spoil instead of helping their offspring by a false sense of duty, which prompts them to indulge their children instead of forcing them to seek and gain knowledge at first hand.
I see what you mean. Your theory is that too much help thrust upon the youth encourages him to drift and become indefinite in all things. You believe that necessity is a teacher of great sagacity, that defeat carries with it an equivalent virtue, that unearned gifts of every nature may become a curse instead of a blessing. Is that correct?
You have stated my philosophy perfectly. My belief is not theory, it is fact.
Then you do not advocate prayer as a means of gaining desirable ends.
On the contrary, I do advocate prayer, but not the sort of prayer that consists of empty, begging, meaningless words. The sort of prayer against which I am helpless is the prayer of definiteness of purpose.
I never thought of definiteness of purpose as being a prayer. How can it be?
Definiteness is in effect the only sort of prayer upon which one can rely. It places one in the way of using hypnotic rhythm to attain definite ends, by the mere act of appropriating it from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. The appropriation, in case you are interested, takes place through definiteness of purpose, persistently pursued.
Why do the majority of prayers fail?
They don't. All prayers bring that for which one prays.
But you just said that definiteness of purpose is the only sort of prayer upon which one can rely. Now you say that all prayers bring results. What do you mean?
There is nothing inconsistent about it. The majority of people who pray go to prayer only after everything else fails them. Naturally, they go with their minds filled with fear that the prayers will not be answered. Well, their fears are realized. The person who goes to prayer with definiteness of purpose and faith in the attainment of that purpose puts into motion the laws of nature, which transmute one's dominating desires into their physical equivalent. That is all there is to prayer. One form of prayer is negative and brings only negative results. One form is positive and brings definite positive results. Could anything be more simple? People who whine and beg God to assume responsibility for all their troubles and provide them with all the necessities and luxuries of life are too lazy to create what they want and translate it into existence through the power of their own minds. When you hear a person praying for something that he should procure through his own efforts, you may be sure you are listening to a drifter. Infinite intelligence favors only those who understand and adapt themselves to her laws. She makes no discrimination because of fine character or pleasing personality. These things help people negotiate their way through life more harmoniously with one another. But the source from which prayer is answered is not impressed by fine feathers. Nature's law is, know what you want, adapt yourself to my laws, and you shall have it.
Look, man, that is 30 minutes. This video is a lot longer than 30 minutes, but you know, Boogie got to speak. But yo, please hit that like button, subscribe button, turn on my post notifications and all that good stuff. And I just want to let you guys know, if you want to share this with your friend, I have created a playlist on my channel that says Boogie's Book Club. Right now, this is the current book that we're doing. So all of the videos that I've made, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and all the other parts that come after this video will all be in chronological order on the playlist. All right, so if you guys want to just listen to this straight, all you got to do is click the playlist and allow the videos to just play. I think YouTube will just give you the next video and the next video and the next video. You won't have to keep searching and finding part 3, part 4. I literally organized them all together for you guys to have them all together. So if you guys just wait till the end of this video, you'll see the playlist pop up. You can save the playlist. You can add it to your favorites or whatever you got to do. Also, being that I just dealt with a community strike on my channel, I'm going to ask you guys to turn on my post notifications. Now, I know that's something that a lot of creators say, YouTubers say, but the reason why I am putting extra emphasis on it is because after you get a community strike, YouTube does not give out or pushes your videos as much as they once did until they feel like they could trust you again. All right, so with that being said, until they feel like they could trust me again, you guys may not get these videos, especially a video like this, being that it's so long. So I'm going to ask you guys to turn on my post notifications, engage with my videos. And the way you engage with my videos is liking and actually dropping a comment, dropping a thought, saying, yo, what's up, Boogie? Saying it's good to hear from you, Boogie. Saying I'm enjoying this, Boogie. Now, I mean, we need part 5 is what I'm asking for you guys to put in the comment section, all right? So, like I say in all of my videos, man, if you want to make some extra money just playing games on your phone, all you got to do is click the link in the description below or the link in the comment section below. These apps, they're literally paying people just to play games on your phone. It's crazy every time I think about it. But try it out. See if it's for you. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you catch yourself making money, make your money. Until next time, y'all, it's been your boy Ty Boogie. I'm out of here, man. Peace.